Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast, the Project Investigation Collaboration. And as always, we have here our gracious host, founder of the Veritas Project, Robert Curtis.
Hello.
And I am investigator Todd, the lead investigator for the Veritas Project, Todd Boyer. And welcome back, guys.
Yeah, welcome in.
Well, we're going to talk about something that's been kind of a hot button in the media right now.
Yeah.
The lizard people. They've been kind of all over the place, and you know, a lot of people are saying, "Yep, they are here." You know, and before we get rolling, if you guys didn't notice, we're both wearing our "This Is Boo Sheet" t-shirts. They're a little different, but
we're talking about aliens.
We're talking about aliens.
We got ghost stuff on, so that's how we roll.
That's how we roll. So, you guys have seen the stuff from Las Vegas in the media here lately. And the funny thing is, that is actually the first podcast that Bob and I did 40 episodes ago.
Yeah.
We talked about that. Mm-hmm. We were right on top of that at the very beginning because they were having issues down, where was it? They were having alien attacks. In Peru, they were having attacks from the lizard people.
Right.
And they kind of hushed that up, and then we also discussed the Las Vegas stuff, which they kind of covered up until more recently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we talked about that. Our first podcast, literally 2 microphones and a computer, roughly almost a year ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, so now here we are back to it because it's become a hot button again. So, Michelle says, what's the famous ranch that's a hot spot? That would be Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker Ranch, yeah.
So the concept of the lizard people was popularized by conspiracy theorist David, is it Icke or Icke?
Yeah.
Icke, in 1990s, claims that lizard people are shape-shifting aliens from the Draco constellation.
Right.
And suggests they've been on Earth since ancient times, influencing our culture. Mm-hmm. There's links to various mythology, and ancient texts mention them. Also, you know, it's often connected with the idea of a secret elite group controlling events on the world.
Government and world events and influencing things behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Bob and I love the movie They Live.
Yeah.
Because it is literally the concept of the lizard people. Mm-hmm. And the weird thing about that, you tell them the weird thing with the director, about how he made horror movies and then suddenly...
Yeah, he makes, John Carpenter makes horror movies and then suddenly made this one sci-fi movie and then made more horror movies after it. But it was like this one out of place movie. When I tell people it's a John Carpenter movie, they're always like, what? I didn't see any demons or ghosts or anything in it. Like, I don't understand why.
Yep, with Rowdy Piper, Michelle, absolutely.
Oh, it's easily one of my top 10 favorite movies.
I know, it's great. What cracks me up is the fight scene in the alley when the guy just absolutely refuses to put on the glasses.
Right.
I mean, how hard would it him then going, fine, you're full of crap, I'll put the glasses on. Right. But no, they got to fight it out.
Yeah.
You know, that's the scene that cracks me up every time. But they also have one of the best movie quotes ever.
Yeah.
I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Right.
That's one of the best movie quotes ever. I use that occasionally. So.
You can't not quote that movie. It's so good.
But that kind of is like the premise. If you go back and watch that movie, it's like the premise of the lizard people.
Right.
So it's like
they use some kind of projection, vibration type thing that makes them look like regular people, and then, you know, you can see out of the corner of your eye, or if you have the special glasses or whatever, then you can see them. But
well, and then after after we talked about the different types of aliens last time, someone said their mom swore that one of the doctors at their hospital had a lizard head.
Yeah.
Like it just didn't work on her.
Right.
So, like, freaked her out all the time, but, you know. Old movie and you still got to pay to watch it. You know? So.
Nice.
Let's Robin, how can you be blocked? You're a doggone...
Right.
You're a doggone mod. So, oh, look at there.
Oh, is that thing?
I'm not sure what that was, so...
It looked like RoboCop as a dog.
Oh, it was a racing rover.
Nice.
Nice. Thank you, Amy. She sent me a racing rover. So let's talk about the lizard people in pop culture before we get deep into them. The movie V, the show V was based on the lizard people. Right. And part of the conspiracy along with that is the aliens from V were eating people.
Right.
And that's like one of the current conspiracies is the government allows the lizard people to take so many people a year as food. They were on Doctor Who. They were in the X-Files. They were in Supernatural.
Yep.
You know, there's memes on the internet, obviously.
Oh yeah, it's a familiar trope.
Yeah.
with the government conspiracy.
So music references, you know, just metaphors, comic books, graphic novels, you name it, they're all over. So this is not just a fly-by-night kind of thing, you know what I mean? It's like, it's this ongoing, and since there's, you know, pictures of lizard people in ancient times, you know, it makes
different cultures, too.
Yeah, in different cultures. So it kind of feeds into that. So, you know, there's a lot of believe that high-ranking political officials, you know, are lizard people.
Secretly they've either been replaced, or they have lizard. They're a hybrid of lizards, you know, so they can age like humans, or they have some sort of device that makes their appearance age over time.
And they were saying Queen Elizabeth, you know, George Bush. I mean, there's a whole bunches of them. So let's talk about. Now we've talked about this before, but let's talk about Dulce Base.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go ahead and tell the story of Dulce Base.
So the Dulce Base is like the government wanted a multi-layered base, right? So it has like the one story above ground, and then the rest of the structure is inside the ground.
Right. So if you're familiar with the Resident Evil movie, The Hive, where it has the elevator going down and then like literally rings of base underneath, that's what they were going for.
And the whole idea of this structure is like the top floor is like your regular people, you know, like the office people who just they if you tell them, you know, whatever, they don't have any security clearances. And then the next layer below that gets one more layer of more secrecy. And then the layer below that is more secret, and the one below that is top secret, and then at the bottom layer is like cosmic,
DARPA level
top
kind of craziness
like you can't get into. So they wanted to expand the base one more layer down so that they could put the emerging computer systems, because back then computers took up entire warehouses. So they wanted to have an on-site storage for these huge servers, you know, with the mag tapes that they could store their own stuff inside their own building and have it be where there's no possibility that anybody could ever leak anything out of there. So they're building a new layer on the underside of this base. It's a long story longer. And they dug into a tunnel system. So the construction crew broke into a tunnel system, and they were at night when they would be working down there, these lizard people would come out of the tunnel hole. Basically, the plan was to finish their structure and then either incorporate the tunnel system and block off the back side of it, or just cement it in and make that, you know, as far as the base went in that direction, basically. But these lizard people come out of it's. Even say it.
They came out at night and started messing with stuff.
Right. They would steal things. They would attack people, and as electricians were down there working, doing their wiring for the new construction, and the lizard people attacked them. So they ran out and were like, "Hey, we saw these people in suits." The guy referred to them as the Gorn. If you ever seen the Star Trek episode with the Gorn, that's what he said it looked like. So, of course, you know, the DARPA, you know, level of government is like this building gets more secretive the lower it goes.
Right.
So they think, well, someone has tunneled into the building from the bottom to get to the most secret part of the base, right? So that can't stand. You know, like these, whatever, Cubans or something out there with pickaxes, like tunneling their way into New Mexico. But anyway, they send down a security team like your Air Force, like security people. That,
standard security team,
like
not nothing
right.
big, just standard security team.
And they went down there to retrieve the electricians that were trapped and clear everything out. And they thought, we're gonna have some words with these, people who are sneaking at the base, and immediately degenerated into a firefight.
Yep.
So the lizard people can't be shot by our bullets.
Well,
The bullets,
they pulled back.
yeah.
And then they brought in Delta.
Right.
Which, those are the hammers. And
Right.
everything to Delta looks like a nail.
Exactly.
Because they're going to hit it hard.
Right.
And they go down and get into an extended firefight with the lizard people.
Because the Air Force level guys just got into the fight because they basically made contact. They made contact with them, shot at them, and then left. Break contact and leave. That's what they did. So then once they got up and regrouped, they're like, no, we can't have invaders in our top secret base. So you have to push the button. And then they got the Delta Force to go in there, Barry
And
Bostwick.
start hitting.
Go do their thing down there. So they got into a protracted firefight, like grenades, machine guns, the whole thing. And the aliens would not give up the territory.
Now tell them why the aliens can't be shot.
They have some kind of thing on their chest, right? Like they always show like the depictions of aliens having like a ray gun or whatever, but they just have like some sort of device on their chest that decelerates bullets as they come at them. So like when the bullet is coming at them, it does something to the gravity of the bullet, and it just drops to the ground.
And then returns fire immediately from to where the bullet came from.
Automatically, without the alien even moving. And sometimes they said the alien wouldn't even be looking at them, but they would shoot. They would do like what do they call it? Where they're like bounding Overwatch type thing. And so the first guy fires a shot and then goes behind cover, and then the next guy moves out, and then the first guy starts shooting. Right. To provide Overwatch for the people that are constantly advancing. Right. That's a whole military tactic of basically suffocating an enemy by just constantly increasing your numbers in an area.
Right.
There's nothing they can do about it, because every time they take cover, there's 2 more people.
Yeah.
So and basically, whenever the person would fire at the alien, a blue beam would blow out of the alien right at the person that shot at them. And the alien's hands were free. It wasn't like aiming the weapon. It just did it on its own. And the electrician guy was still down there. He had his had like a little 380 pistol. Yeah. And he was like, well, I'm not going to just die in this hallway in the midst of all of this chaos. So one of the soldiers had fallen down in front of him. Like, I guess he got blasted by the beam. Mm-hmm. So he pulled out his little 380 and took a couple shots at it, which immediately it retaliated with its blue fireball blast. Yeah. And the other soldier grabbed him by his shirt and jerked him back. And as he was jerked away, the beam hit him. And
he's a mess, man.
Burned off 2 of his fingers. Burned the other finger to a nub. Burned his thumb clean off. He's got 3rd-degree burns all over this whole side of his body. Yeah, like
the third of his body is 3rd-degree burns.
He got roasted by whatever that blue beam was.
So, yep. So, and the only reason why he survived is because that Delta guy grabbed him and threw him in the elevator shaft.
Yeah, and chucked him in the
elevator. And he's the only one that made it out.
Right.
The Delta guys blew up the shaft, sacrificed themselves.
Right. Detonated whatever their satchel charge they had with them.
Which then they pulled the elevator and just dumped concrete in it. That level and the level above it they filled with concrete.
Yeah.
So that is the Dulce base story.
That is crazy.
So, yeah.
Crazy. So that's why when we were doing the Peruvian aliens thing, which was a breaking news,
what I wanted to talk about now.
Yeah.
So
that's why we were the first ones that made that connection between the description of the aliens in Peru, the description of the aliens in Las Vegas, and the ones in New Mexico.
Right.
Are all identical.
Yep.
Of the description of the actual being. Their clothing or outfits have changed.
Right.
Obviously, they've changed their kit a little bit over the years. But the actual being is identical in all of the...
So the Peru situation is this little town kept being attacked, and I guess they were low on food because they even tried to pull a girl out of there.
Right.
The aliens tried to take this girl, and she ended up with a bunch of scratches on her neck and stuff. And they were getting into firefights with these aliens.
Yeah.
And they literally, every person in the town, this is like out in the middle of nowhere, you know, they had internet, and they basically put it out on the internet, hey, we need help.
We need help, right.
Because these aliens keep attacking our town. Well, then, of course, originally the news out there ran with it and were like, yeah, this is happening, here's the videos, blah, blah, blah.
These people need some kind of assistance.
They need some assistance. And then all of a sudden, you know, of course, our government gets involved and everything else, and their government gets involved, and suddenly it's a cover-up.
Yeah,
and they tried to say it was
comedy.
like gold poachers.
Right.
Right? And there's videos of these aliens leaping into trees.
Yeah.
And they're hovering. They're not even walking.
Yeah,
they're hovering a couple feet off the ground. And these videos are out there unless they've been squelched. I haven't looked since our podcast. And then that's right about the time that all this stuff happened in Vegas, where they started seeing the aliens in the back alleys and that kind of stuff, which is now starting to hit the mainstream media here the past couple of weeks, that they're starting to say, yeah, these videos are real.
Right.
And Bob and I talked about it 43 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We legitimately, this was our first podcast.
Right.
Was about this situation.
The Peruvian aliens and this whole crazy situation.
Yeah, the whole Las Vegas thing. So, yeah, they're supposedly like in cahoots, you know. They believe that this is like a broad conspiracy thing, right?
Yeah.
That the whole research into it, you know, obviously people think people are crazy because who believes it, but also who would have thought a few years ago that our government would come out and say, yeah, UFOs are real.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
So how much are they hiding from us? You know, are they hiding in plain sight? So the Anunnaki, you know, the Sumerian, the text, you know, mentioning the Anunnaki, who are sometimes linked to the lizard people. Right. You know, you've got the Egyptian mythology. Right. You have the serpent god, Apep.
Yeah.
Or Apep or Apep, right? Is seen as a possible reference to the lizard people.
Right. And the Mayans.
Yep. The Mayans have the Nagas, which are like half lizard, half, you know, but with the Naga, it's usually
the feathered feathered edges of their heads. But they're all of these cultures, representations of lizard people are all similar. They're similar descriptions of the same. And when they would carve or make a picture of it, it's nearly identical to the pictures.
So obviously there's a lot of online stuff recently with the global crises and trying to debunk the stuff. Right. But there's a lot of people coming out that are saying that, you know, these are true. They've looked at the tapes. They've tried to debunk the tapes and said, hey, these lizard people actually do exist. Yep. So
the Peru accounts of the accounts of the villagers from Peru before the Western media got involved are some of the scariest things that you'll ever hear, because these people have like single shot shotguns from like the 1960s, and the chief, their governor guy, he's just a dude wearing flip-flops and shorts, and he has like a shortly nicer.
Now Bob's talking about a video. Right. This is legit what happened in the video. Go ahead and I'll let you tell the story.
This woman says she saw the creature behind her building, which the buildings in this town are like corrugated steel with like corrugated steel roofs. Yep. They're not like your house. You know, these are shacks these people live in. So the governor, mayor, all in one guy, and this woman walked down this alley, and around the corner, the alien pops out, like right in front of him. And he said it looked just like the Predator in the movie. It was like shimmering almost, like you could see right through it, but you could see its shape. And he shot it in the chest with his shotgun, point blank range, like maybe 6 feet away. And he said it didn't affect it at all. It just, the bullet came out, and it was like almost like it went through it, because it had no impact at all. The alien just looked at him, and then it just jumped over the roof of the next building and floated away. And then he was like, what,
Yeah.
what are we going to do against this? I mean, what do we even do?
So they did have they did end up having a big firefight. The Peruvian government came in and had a big firefight with them. And you see the videos, you could hear the firefight going on.
You can hear machine
gun fire and, all that kind of stuff.
The
and
Peruvian Navy came out there with legit Western weapons, like full kit.
Yeah.
And they were like, these gold what do you call it, poachers, these gold poachers need to go, is basically what they said.
They tried to say they were gold poachers.
They decided with extreme violence they were going to chase these gold poachers out of the area.
Now, they would just hover off and fly off.
Yeah.
And Bob and I looked into it, and like the cheapest jetpack out there was like what, $200,000?
Oh, it was more than that.
Like $250,000, something like that. And that's the cheap ones where you only get like 30 seconds of flight.
Even the best ones only have a couple seconds of flight.
The best ones you can get. They have the new Blade ones, but those you're talking $1 million, and you're getting 4 minutes of flight.
In this video, the thing jumps into the tree. And it's not in the tree. It's like hovering, using the tree as cover. And it's sitting there for a good, probably 3 or 4 minutes. And it makes no sound whatsoever. Yeah. And these jetpacks sound like...
those jetpacks are ridiculously loud.
They're like a rocket motor. They're so loud. And the funny thing was that as soon as the Western media went down there, they found a picture of one of those hydrojet things.
Yeah.
And they gave the phone with the picture that they put on it to the kid, and they were like, did it look like this? And he said, no, it didn't look anything like that. And they said, hold the phone up so we can take your picture. And he's like, all right then. And they took the picture, and then that photo is what the scumbags in the media ran with. And they said, he said this is exactly what they are. They're people wearing jetpacks, which is the scummiest, dirtiest thing you could possibly imagine, to exploit a little child like that for your own media, right?
So, obviously, the media is out there trying to debunk it and tell us it doesn't exist. But
Timothy Alberino actually went down there.
Yeah.
Fellow
in fact, you sent me that video.
Yeah. He was like, I have to see that. I have to see this. This is crazy. This is outlandish even. So he loaded up his stuff with some friends of his that are missionaries, and they went down to this little village and actually put boots on the ground in this village and talked to the people firsthand. They didn't ask somebody who saw something on CNN.
Right.
They went down and actually talked to the girl that was almost abducted by the alien. And she told them in their story it would look like a dude wearing the Green Goblin type suit. It was like armor plated suit that moved with them. So it was like segmented armor that retracted and moved. And the thing floated up behind her and she couldn't hear it. It was close enough to grab her and she couldn't hear the device. And then it had some kind of like gripper thing on its hand, and it locked onto her neck. And she thinks
she's got really big scratches on her neck.
Big wounds all the way around her neck. And she thinks that gripper thing had some kind of injector in it. Mm-hmm. And what they would do is they would grab the villagers around the neck, and then this thing would inject something into them. They would go to sleep, and then they would take them back, to their hole in the ground where they came from, which is the revolving story of the lizard people in not in conspiracy, but in the media and in documentation.
Right.
That they live in the ground, and they come out and engage in shenanigans and then go back in the ground again.
So, I was going to say earlier that, if you don't think there's something going on or something out there, I found out, Bob, I haven't told you this yet. So I suffer from ocultism, which is the knowledge that that you are nothing in the grand scheme of things. Right?
Which is reality.
Right? So Bob suffers from it too.
Yeah.
But it's to know that we know nothing.
Right.
Right? So there could be any number of things going on out here that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And these, these aliens or whatever, lizard people, whatever you want to call them, have been going back for forever in these ancient drawings. They talk about them in ancient text. What's funny is they have the slee stacks, which are like the ancient alien looking in Land of the Lost,
right.
you know, from when we were kids,
right?
You know, the lizard people. So it makes you wonder if maybe somebody was out there trying to say something, or you know what I mean?
All the way back then.
So, but of course, you know, everybody wants to disprove them, because if this actually is something going on, we're not in charge of what we think we're in charge of.
Well, yeah, and that's part of the conspiracy theory, is that they made backdoor deals with the government to give the government some sort of technology or whatever it was they made deals with. So we don't really know what they're up to. You know, it's all hidden treaties with the governments of the world. So, you know, they could be a part of the UN or whatever, as far as we know.
Yep.
You know? It's crazy as that sounds, you know.
So, you know, like Bob and I always like to say, you know, we like to scratch the surface.
Yeah.
You know, we like to put our toe in the pool. We want you guys to jump in and come up with your own theory, because we don't want to tell you guys how to think and what to think about. We want you guys to draw your own conclusion. We just want to get you interested so you can do the research and come up with your own conclusion, because we don't want to sit here and say, we want you to think this way.
Right.
We just want you, we just draw your attention to it.
Right.
Is what Bob and I like to do.
And like I always say, if you do research on this and you find something, you know, and you're like, this is...
Send it to us.
You told me this and this is what really happened. Send it to me, because we'll...
Yeah, send it to me, send it to him. You know, obviously you can follow us both here for you guys on TikTok. For you guys watching on YouTube, both Bob and I's emails are a panel at the end of the video.
Right.
So just email us, hit us up on YouTube, whatever. You know,
100% not those people that are like, this is what you should think because this is how I think.
Yep. If you come up with something that we haven't seen, we're gonna be like, damn, that's fucking cool.
Right. Yeah. Tell me about it.
Oh yeah, I want to know.
Maybe that's a different rabbit hole we can go down. You know.
So. Robin wants to know, does that make us Okiolist? I guess, Robin, because Robin is too.
Right.
So, but, you know, we want to thank you guys for joining us on the podcast.
Yep.
Because the data that we pulled for the podcast today, of course, is basically trying to tell us that they don't exist. Right?
Right.
Because we use AI sometimes to help with facts and things like that.
ChatGPT
and
doesn't
ChatGPT, if it's a conspiracy theory, ChatGPT does not want to talk about it.
It won't talk about it.
It will give you information that says, oh, this is a hoax, this doesn't exist, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So even if we told it to give us even recent media stories, it didn't want to give us that.
Yeah.
So... go out there and research it yourselves, guys, and you know, definitely check it out yourselves.
Right.
You know, once again, thank you for joining us on the Lizard People podcast. We covered, you know, the possibility and some of the stories, and we even took a look back at our original podcast for a moment.
Right.
And go out there and do the research yourselves. Bob is R.S. Curtis on everything, and I'm Investigator Todd on everything. You know, definitely, we appreciate you guys being here to check out the podcast. And remember,
stay curious
and find the truth, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye, everybody.